he walked into court alone. No lawyer, no witnesses. Just a quiet black man in an old gray suit, accused of disobeying police. The officers who arrested him were already laughing, mocking his name, whispering jokes like he was nobody. The judge barely looked up. But what they didn't know? That nobody was about to flip their entire world upside down. Because buried in his jacket was something more powerful than any badge in that courtroom. And when he finally revealed who he was, the silence was louder than any siren. Stay till the end. Because this story doesn't just expose racism. It exposes what happens when the wrong cops mess with the wrong man. And trust me, the ending? You won't see it coming. Two officers leaned against the courtroom wall, smirking. They were the kind of men who found humor in authority, so long as it was theirs. When the bailiff called the name Leonard Briggs, a few quiet chuckles bounced off the back wall. "That him?" one officer whispered, nudging his partner as a tall black man in a wrinkled gray suit stood from the last row. "Yeah, looks like one of those sovereign citizens. Probably gonna say the Constitution doesn't apply to him." The other snorted. "Bet he'll try to talk his way out of it." Leonard walked alone. No attorney, no entourage. His steps were calm, unrushed, like someone who wasn't afraid of the outcome. He didn't speak as he approached the defendant's table, didn't even glance at the two officers behind him, who kept snickering, oblivious to the shifting energy in the room. The judge, a pale man with a thinning comb-over, adjusted his glasses and looked down at the file. "Mr. Briggs," he said, flipping through pages, "you're charged with failure to comply during a lawful stop. Is that correct?" Leonard nodded. "That's what the report says." "No legal counsel present?" "I don't need one." Laughter rippled from the back. The judge glanced toward the officers but said nothing. The tension in the room was subtle, not explosive, but real. "Very well," the judge said. "Anything you'd like to say before we proceed?" Leonard stepped forward. He reached into his jacket slowly, not threatening, but deliberate. One officer shifted, hand resting on his holster. Leonard paused, then pulled out a thin, laminated badge and laid it gently on the judge's bench. "My name is Leonard D. Briggs," he said, voice flat. "Director of Internal Affairs, Federal Bureau of Investigation." Silence. Total. The badge caught the courtroom light. The judge stared. So did the prosecutor. The laughter in the back dried up instantly. "You're FBI?" the judge asked. Leonard nodded. "I oversee misconduct investigations in the southeastern region, including small departments that claim body cams fail at convenient times." Now it wasn't just silent. It was dead quiet. One of the officers sat down slowly, face pale. Leonard looked back at them, not with anger, just observation, like a scientist watching a predictable reaction unfold. "You didn't know," he said, "because you didn't ask." The judge cleared his throat, eyes darting across the room. "Would you be willing to speak with me in chambers?" Leonard shook his head. I prefer everything stays on the record." The prosecutor fumbled with his papers. The officers? Frozen. The courtroom wasn't just confused anymore. It was exposed. And this? This was just the beginning. It was just after 10:30 p.m. when Leonard exited E10 near Biloxi, Mississippi. He'd been on the road for 14 hours, quietly checking in on flagged departments. That day, it was Jefferson County, a name that had come up too many times in internal reports. His silver Camry was basic, unremarkable. He preferred it that way. Quiet observation was his method. But tonight, observation turned into first-hand experience. The red and blue lights flashed behind him. He pulled over calmly. Routine. 2 officers stepped out. Both white, mid-30s, one bald, flashlight already in hand. They didn't walk up, they marched. Quick, assertive. The bald officer knocked hard on the window. "License and registration." Leonard rolled the window halfway. "May I ask why I was stopped?" "You didn't signal that last lane change," the cop barked. Leonard glanced at the rear view. "Dash cam on." "I believe I did," he said. "Got something to hide?" the second officer asked, appearing on the passenger side. "No," Leonard said. "Just want to confirm. Is this a traffic stop or an interrogation?" "Wrong answer." "Step out of the car," the bald officer demanded. "I haven't refused anything," Leonard said. "I'm asking a question." "Out, now!" Leonard handed over his license. No mention of the FBI. Just Leonard Briggs. Clean. Legal. "Where are you headed?" the cop asked. "Can't say." "Can't or won't?" The tone shifted. Accusatory. Leonard's response was simple. "Federal protocol." Something in the officer snapped. "You think you're above the law?" he snapped. The second officer opened the passenger door. "Get out!" "This stop isn't lawful anymore," Leonard said calmly. But they didn't care. They yanked him from the car, twisted his arms, forced him to the ground. Gravel scraped his cheek. One officer pressed a knee into his spine. The other cursed. Leonard didn't resist. He didn't scream. He activated a tiny recorder in his coat pocket the moment the lights flashed behind him. He knew this playbook. No body cams turned on. No supervisor contacted me. No Miranda rights. Just fists, dirt, and silence. By the time they dragged him into the station, a hasty report had been typed up. Verbally aggressive. Refused to identify. Non-compliant. No mention of force. No explanation for the missing footage. When Leonard asked for badge numbers, "Don't worry," the officer said. "You'll have time to ask questions in court." They laughed as they closed the cell door. Leonard didn't. He just listened. Memorized voices. Language. Slurs. Because he knew one thing they didn't. Tomorrow, they'd find out who he really was. And everything they tried to bury would be the first thing dug up. The courtroom the next morning was supposed to be a formality. A petty charge, a quick hearing, maybe a fine. But Leonard wasn't interested in settling quietly. When he placed his badge on the judge's bench, the room flipped. You're FBI?" the judge stammered. Leonard didn't blink. "Internal Affairs. I am 27 years old. Badge number cross-verifiable with Director Travis McCall's office." A court clerk, Darlene, a sharp-eyed woman with decades of experience, stood up. "Would you like me to place that call, Your Honor?" The judge nodded quickly. Leonard stepped back. Every pair of eyes locked on him. The officer with the shaved head whispered, "This guy's playing us." His partner didn't answer, just stared at the badge. 5 minutes later, Darlene returned with a notepad. "Confirmed," she said. "He's FBI, Southeastern Internal Affairs. Rank checks out." The judge leaned back slowly. The silence in the courtroom wasn't awkward anymore. It was shameful. Leonard broke it. "I didn't come to file charges," he said. "I didn't flash my credentials. I followed the law. I handed over my ID. I remained calm. But I was assaulted, detained, and denied my rights." He let the words settle. "I recorded everything." Now even the prosecutor looked uncomfortable. Leonard continued, "I request all charges be dropped, and the 2 officers involved be placed on administrative leave pending a federal inquiry." The judge didn't argue. "Granted." The officers looked stunned. "You're suspending us," one of them snapped. Leonard turned to them. "This isn't about me. This is about everyone you've treated like they didn't matter." Then he faced the judge. "And I'm not done. This department has been under review for over a year. Body cam malfunctions, missing reports, vanishing complaints. I was passing through to confirm patterns." He held up a USB stick. "Now I have them." The officers didn't speak again. They didn't laugh, because this wasn't a courtroom anymore. It was a reckoning. The courtroom cleared quickly. No one wanted to linger. Not after seeing a man they mocked expose them with just a badge and a sentence. Leonard left quietly, back to his motel. Not to rest, but to work. He opened his laptop, initiated a secure connection, and sent the first files to his regional office. Then, he pulled up the Jefferson County Police Department's internal database. Within an hour, he found what he suspected: 6 separate body cam malfunctions over the past 10 months, every single one involving Black or Latino drivers. Not one malfunction during a traffic stop with white motorists. He filed a formal inquiry to the DOJ and Internal Affairs. And that was only the beginning. Back at the department, Sheriff Ricky Halburn got the call he'd been dreading. "2 of your guys arrested a federal investigator?" the voice on the line asked. Halburn looked across the room at Officer Tamara Wells, the only one in the building not panicking. "Yes," he said quietly. "You didn't check credentials?" "We didn't know." "Exactly," the voice interrupted. "You didn't care to." The phone clicked. Tamara leaned on the doorframe. "He didn't act like an FBI agent," Ricky mumbled. "No," she replied. "He acted like a man who was used to being ignored." Meanwhile, Officer Curtis Dell, the bald cop, was pacing. He tried to look calm. Didn't work. When he walked into the sheriff's office, he avoided Tamara's eyes. "I didn't know he was FBI," he started. "Didn't matter," Tamara cut in. "You didn't give him a chance." Dell opened his mouth to defend himself, but stopped. What could he say? The man handed over his license, never raised his voice, and still got yanked from the car like a criminal. Back at the motel, Leonard received a reply from the DOJ. "Proceed with compliance if violations are confirmed. Additional agents en route." It was on. He drafted the notice. By morning, the Jefferson County PD was placed under federal supervision. No field operations, no patrols, emergency calls only. An entire department, frozen. When Leonard walked into the station again, holding a folder and wearing the same quiet resolve, no one made a sound. The front desk officer stammered. Agent Briggs, we weren't expecting." "I'm not here for theatrics," Leonard said. "I'm here to confirm patterns." Inside, Grace Mendoza from D.C. was already digging through files. Nathan Cole was in the server room recovering deleted camera footage. And Tamara? She was reviewing old complaint files, one by one, pulling out every case with the same signature. Dell. It was all unraveling. The abuse, the lies, the silenced voices. Leonard wasn't just investigating now. He was dismantling a system that had been allowed to operate unchecked for far too long. And he wasn't leaving until every stone was overturned. By Friday, Jefferson County wasn't quiet anymore. It was buzzing. The story hit local news first. FBI agent wrongfully arrested by Jefferson County Police. But it didn't stop there. Then came the patrol car audio. A 1-minute clip leaked online. "You think you're above the law?" That one sentence turned a local scandal into a national headline. Town hall meetings were called. Fast. Residents gathered. Angry, anxious, exhausted. Most weren't surprised. They'd lived it. Now, finally, someone had proof. In a packed room, the mayor stammered through a statement. "We acknowledge mistakes were made. We're cooperating fully." Felicia Green stood up in the back. "Mistakes?" she said. "My son filed a complaint 2 years ago. Got shut down without a single interview. Are you going to fix that?" "We're reviewing past cases," the mayor said. "No," Felicia shot back. "Don't review. Reopen." Applause erupted. Leonard stood in the back, arms crossed, Tamara beside him. "Didn't expect this many people," she whispered. "They were always here," Leonard said. "Just needed someone to listen." One by one, the stories poured out. A boy stopped walking home from football practice. A mother followed for 3 blocks after leaving work. An elderly man cuffed and released without a word. In 1989. Then Sheriff Halburn stepped up to the mic. He looked around the room. "We didn't know who Leonard Briggs was," he said, "but that's not the problem. The problem is, we didn't care who any of you were." Dead silence. "I failed this town," he continued. "I let reports get buried. I let behavior slide. That stops now. We're reopening cases. And yes, that includes looking at me." Tamara looked at Leonard. "You think he means it?" Leonard didn't answer right away. "I believe the people in this room will hold him to it," he said. Later, Leonard met with the mayor and the DOJ. "We're requesting full removal of Officer Dell," he said, "and a complete personnel audit." The mayor sighed. "You're asking me to fire a senior officer." "No," Grace Mendoza corrected. "We're asking you to clean the house." By Monday morning, Dell was gone. No fanfare, just a signed termination letter and silence. He left through the back. No badge, no weapon, no power. Leonard didn't watch him go. He was already looking ahead, finalizing new protocols with the DOJ, pushing for federal oversight, building pathways for public complaint tracking. It wasn't loud work, but it was real. Outside, a teenager passed Leonard in the town square, gave a small nod. Not fear, not awe, just respect. Leonard nodded back. Then he walked away, briefcase in hand, badge tucked back in his coat. No need to flash it, not anymore. Because the people finally saw what justice was supposed to look like. Not loud, not angry, just unstoppable. If this story moved you, share it. Let people know what accountability looks like. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because stories like this, they don't just entertain, they expose the truth. See you in the next one.